Hello and welcome to the Real Talk Show. We come to you every Friday at 14 hours. Now, if you've been following us, you know that we bring you young people conversations and we always make sure that we get right into it and check out what is it that is happening around young people and how best can we drive solutions towards these social problems that we're facing as young people. Now, on the 10th of October, the world celebrates World Mental Health Day. And this happened this particular week. And that is the reason why this week's episode of The Real Talk Show is dedicated towards discussing society's response towards mental health awareness. One of the things that I personally observed was that not so many people spoke about this, both from social institutions, CSOs, and government entities. So today, we're sitting down with two people who both are well invested in mental health awareness, and we shall be discussing the particular topic at hand. My name is Iga Kapambwe. I'm your host for today's episode, and allow me to introduce our two guests who are part of us today. I'll let them introduce themselves and tell just a brief background of what they do, just a minute for each one of them. Good afternoon, Mrs. Changala. Please introduce yourself and what do you do?
Good afternoon, Ida. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be a part of this meeting, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much to the organizers, and it's much appreciated. My name is Tionge Tembo Changala. I am a mental health practitioner. I work with an NGO, and our focus is around children. And one of the things that we get to look at as an organization is issues that have to do with mental health and the mental well-being of the caregivers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Clad in the Manchester United jersey is another gentleman, and I will allow him to introduce himself. Good afternoon, and how are you doing?
Good afternoon, viewers and Iga. Glad to be on the show. So my name is Kapepa Stanley. I solve people's problems for a living. I solve people's problems for a living, and yeah, I'm a mental health advocate. I love speaking about things that help the youth. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, getting right into it, I'd like to find out your experience. Stanley, seeing that your mic is already open, how's been your experience working and striving to raise awareness on a topic as important as mental health?
My experience it has been great. It has a few challenges here and there, but it has been great.
Mhm.
You get to work with a number of people, you get to meet people, you get to learn. As much as you raise awareness, the most important thing is you learn through the process. So yeah, it's been quite interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mrs. Changala, how would you describe your journey?
I must say personally, working around mental health issues has really increased my knowledge gap because there's quite a lot that mental health issues have to offer. And my experience working with different people, different organizations, I think it has made me realize that issues that have to do with mental health are issues that are real, and we just have to face reality. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I love that you've both, illustrated and shown that you are actually on the ground and you have first-hand experience of how uh, we are currently doing in as much as this topic is concerned. So I'll get back to you, Mrs. Changala. Why do you think it is important for us to raise awareness around mental health?
I must say, raising awareness on mental health is a very important issue because mental health affects anyone, regardless of your status in society, regardless of where you belong. As long as you are living and you've got life, mental health issues will definitely face you. But it's just important that people are aware of what is happening around them. So raising awareness would help save a life, would also help to make people have to live a life that is enjoyable. It's important that people have a mental well-being that is upright for them to be even productive in society.
All right, Mr. Kapepa, when you were introducing yourself, you just said you solve people's problems for a living. You are not specific. You are in the legal field.
Yes.
I think you're in the legal field, and you must understand how important it is for one to be productive, and all of that. So, for you, I'm going to ask you this question from that perspective: why mental health awareness?
Why mental health awareness? Because before anything else, everything else starts from the mind. The most important muscle we have on the body is the mind. So if your
Mhm.
mind is not right, if your mental state is not in a place where it can focus, then you cannot be productive. So
Mhm.
why not raise awareness on protecting something that is so much value? Because once your mind is dead, then you as a human, you're useless. So it
Mhm.
it starts from raising awareness um, on an aspect of life that is so huge, such that it impacts every stage that you're in, your well-being, your productivity, your your thinking. It is that important.
How much impact do you think mental health awareness would have on our cultural practices?
Um, so yeah, that's a very interesting question, because when you look at the societies that we come from an African setup. So where we specifically, I will speak about the male folk. So you come from a society where they tell you that, look, as a man, you don't have feelings. So your mental well-being does not matter. As a man, just be there, standing upright. But then, how do you stand upright when your mind is not right? You know, it has a very huge impact on our cultural well-being, because our cultural beliefs have influenced what we believe. So we are what we believe. So if what we believe is not standing well with things that are supposed to better us, then there has to be some bit of change that needs to be put into society, so that we can advocate for such important issues such as mental well-being.
All right, thank you to our online audience here watching us on Facebook, YouTube. Feel free to comment and let us know where you're watching us from. Also, feel free to comment on some of the questions that we are addressing today. This is what we do every Friday, and we'll be reading your comments just to see how and what you think about our topic for the day. Now, getting back to Mrs. Changala, is there a specific age range that you normally target for mental health, or generally, is there a specific age range that should be targeted when we're raising awareness on mental health?
Thank you so much, Iga, for that question. First of all, I'll start by saying mental health issues have got no age. So, whatever age you may have, you could be a baby. It's interesting to note that babies also do go through mental health issues, but that's something that most of us have not really focused so much on. But with the different organizations that I work with, we've made a realization that the well-being of a baby is also very important because it's going to affect how the baby begins to receive and reach their developmental milestones. So mental health trainings and conversations that have to address the well-being of the children, as well as the well-being of the caregivers, the well-being of the youths, and the well-being of the entire society. So you find that forgetting that the caregivers who are our mothers also go through mental health issues, where if not properly addressed, it would be very difficult for them to offer the necessary support that we might need as the children. You find that our focus will be maybe on just the youths, forgetting the caregivers. Sometimes our focus would be just the caregivers, forgetting their children. So it is important that when addressing issues that have to do with mental health, we address them on a broader range where we begin to look at all the different ages and what mental health issues they might be facing at that particular age where they belong. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Stanley, is there anything that you would like to add?
So from which age? I think that mental awareness should start as early as possible. It should
Mm-hmm.
be a conversation that should be had the same way that we are taught to take care of our bodies. We should be taught that we should take care of our minds, because the mind is one of the most important uh, parts of your body. So if your mind is right, we should teach children about anxiety. We should teach children about depression. I mean, there should be a limit as to which age, but we should start early so that even trickle down the information, so that even as kids grow, they will understand that there are certain aspects like this in society, and I will need to be aware and prepare myself for such aspects.
Right. Thank you so much. I'll start with you, Stanley, on this one. I'm going to get perspectives from both Madam Changala and Stanley. What are some of the conceptions that are currently surrounding mental health?
Okay, so there are lots of misconceptions in society about mental health. First things first, I would say most people like saying that, you know, some of the people that advocate for such things, they just like attention, or
Mm-hmm.
some people would say, mental health is for white people. We are black people. Black people, when a black person being depressed,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, that's a misconception, because you are human too. You're going through the same things that everyone else is going. There's also a lot of misconceptions that only people that are medically insane, where they say, okay, your mind is where you're certified by a doctor to say you're insane, are the only people that should be taught about mental awareness. But no, even people that are sane should be taught about these things so that they protect themselves. So yeah.
Ah, nice, nice. Mrs. Changala. Mrs. Changala, can you hear me? All right. Stanley, I think we will continue driving the conversation as we are waiting for Mrs. Changala's networks
Yes,
to,
Iga.
to stabilize.
Okay.
Oh, you're
So
back.
the health
Okay.
is
All
not
right. Okay.
real.
Nice.
I wonder what their basis. Yes, I can hear you, Iga. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Hello, Iga.
Yes. Now I can hear you.
So healthy really is. So
All right, Stanley. I think we'll continue driving the conversation as we are waiting for um, Mrs. Shangala to stabilize her network. We will
Yeah,
get back to her on what she thinks are some of the misconceptions
yeah.
as she comes back. Now, you are in a position where you're able to look at some of these things like policies and all of that. What are some of
Yeah.
the practices that seem to be slowing down the progress of mental health awareness?
Okay, so like I said, we come from an African society. You know, first things first is I have to say we have to start from the roots. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing that as Africans and as Black people, we do not discuss such issues because they are not looked at as important.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I would say the lack of um, government's awareness on the importance of such issues. I wouldn't necessarily call it awareness because they are aware, but the lack of attention paid to such an important aspect of society. So mm, the lack of funding for most of these things, the lack of creating institutions that actually help to tackle such issues. Yeah, those are some of the
Mm-hmm.
aspects that are really, really affecting mental awareness.
And what would you say is the state of affairs in social institutions such as schools, um, churches?
So I would say that with the growth of social media, it has somehow impacted how these issues are looked at. So the state of affairs right now, I would say you have universities. I will speak from a university perspective. There are some institutions that have started taking up um, the role in championing how mental health and mental awareness should be tackled. I would give an example of the University of Lusaka. They have a space called the Unila Safe Space, and that is a space that has been brought on board by management to help students raise awareness on mental health and have a safe space where they can communicate their their problems. Churches as well. I think some of the churches have taken up the role to say you can have a mentor, you can have a one-on-one with a pastor, you can have someone that is teaching you on how to grow your strength mentally, on how to grow yourself, and how to look at certain aspects of life so that you are mentally sane. But society itself, I say that we haven't done much to raise awareness, although the new generation is taking a leading role, which is a very encouraging thing to see what the youth are doing. So, yeah.
Yes, Mrs. Changala, glad to have you back. Are you okay now? Can we speak? Mrs. Changala, can you hear me?
I am back. Sorry, I was able to get you, but since the network was just trying to fade both of us. I don't know if you're able to get me now. Yes, I can hear you, Ada.
Okay, yes,
No?
I can hear you. Maybe you can carry on with the comment that you were making before, and then after that, we can read some comments on our Facebook page.
Okay. Thank you so much. My apologies for the bad network. So I was saying one of the misconceptions around mental health is some people tend to say mental health is not real. But the truth of the matter is that mental health is real, and anyone can be faced with mental health challenges. I'll give an example of how people think pastors cannot go through mental health issues, how people think counselors themselves cannot go through mental health issues. But one thing that we need to note is that mental health is real, and anyone can be faced with mental health challenges. It is therefore important that we get the necessary support that we need for us to overcome these mental health issue challenges that might be getting to us. So the other misconception is where people think only the weak are the ones that can be faced with mental health. But the thing is, mental health, whether you're weak, you're strong, anyone can be hit with mental health issues. Some people feel they are too strong for mental health issues, yet they consider the others that go through mental health issues to be weak. But the thing is, mental health can be, anyone can face mental health issues. It doesn't matter whether you're weak or you're strong. Other misconceptions are where people think when you're undergoing some mental health issues, meaning you're a failure, you have failed in life. Some people would consider you as a failure because maybe they do not expect you to go through some particular mental health issue because of what you hold in society. But it is important to note that if you're going through a mental health issue, you're not considered a failure. You should be able to come out strong and stand firm and be able to seek support, because we believe that any mental health issue challenge can be overcome only if you get the necessary support from the necessary people with the necessary expertise, so that they don't have to add more to the mental healthy issues, but rather it's the burden of the mental healthy issues that you might be going through. Thank you, Iga.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Changala, for that uh, elaborated statement. So now we just look at some of the comments that are coming through in our comment section. I'm told our comment section is buzzing, and Kunda Kruger is saying, watching from Kamiton. Right, thank you so much, Wakopala, for tuning in. Christian. All right, we're still checking out our comments. Meekness Shiku is saying, watching from Copperbelt, Ndola. Right, thank you so much for tuning in. Ndola is where Stanley is. All right, so thank you so much. Muyambango is saying, keep it up, guys. Mental health care should be acceptable at every health facilities. As the theme for this year, mental health awareness, mental health as a universal human right, meaning everyone has the right for mental health care, free minds, right to access mental health services. Muyambango from Joma. All right, thank you so much, Muyambango, for tuning in and giving us this particular comment. You're actually very, very right. Astroworld TMC is saying, well, wonderful talk, guys. Let's help our friends know their mental health rights. Right, thank you so much. Mutokwa Malambo Hills is saying, let us continue teaching about mental health in our communities. We need more advocacy on mental health. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thank you so much, Malambo, for that particular comment. Right. So I think one of the strongest points that have come out from our particular from our comment section is treating mental health as a human right. From your perspective, Stanley, do you think that mental health is actually being treated? I think particularly this trickle this down to our country. Do you think it is being treated as such?
Um, so basically, we need to understand that a human right is a human entitlement. It's something that you have, regardless if it is protected or not. So, right now in our society, I would say it is all right, looking at the fact that the government has even enacted laws. We have a mental health act, you know.
Hmm.
So it is all right that everyone is entitled to. The question really should be, has it been protected?
Hmm.
Is it being protected? That should be the huge question, because they can enact laws, but are those laws being put into practice? So yeah.
Oh, good question. Thank you so much for that particular comment. I think this is somewhere around 14:25, and we're going towards the end of the show. So I'd like to just maybe ask both of you how you think key stakeholders in social institutions, CSOs, and government can contribute to this particular cause of raising awareness on mental health. Stanley just pointed out the protection of the laws that are enacted in as much as mental health is concerned. So before I get back to Stanley, I'd like to go to Mrs. Changala to make her comment, and then we'll get back to Stanley.
Thank you so much, Iga. I think there's quite a number of things that the civil society organizations, the government can do in order to enhance these issues that have to do with mental health. I think one of the major things that the government and the CSOs can look into is raising awareness and education. So this can be done in different types of formats of transmitting this information. It could be
Mhm.
awareness through community sensitization meetings, where people go in the community, openly talk about what mental health really is, how somebody can access services that have to help them support with their mental well-being, how how each and every person can be faced with mental health issues regardless of who they are, and just different issues that have to do with mental health. They can also bring out these educational trainings through workshops where different practitioners get to come together, learn what mental health really is and how they can actually support the communities. It can also be through having deliberate talks within the schools where mental health issues are being talked about. I think it should not only be left to the work of the maybe counseling and guidance teacher, but I think the whole entire schools, the teachers in the schools, the nurses in the hospitals, the managers, the supervisors, and everyone who has the privilege to mingle with people. At least there must be a knowledge or an understanding of what mental health issues really are. And one other thing is the government and the CSOs can also increase access to support services. So this can be done through just like the way we have sexual reproductive healthy corners in some of these hospitals and some of
Mhm.
these centers around the communities. I think it would be very important that the issues that have to do with mental health are also addressed in such spaces where somebody can openly walk in, pour out what they are going through without being judged, and just being able to say it out, because we believe that problems shared is problem solved. So the moment somebody is able to have access to safe spaces where they can pour out, I think it would be something that would really increase the mental health awareness in the communities. And the other thing is we need to have collaborative efforts, not leaving it to only the government to do, or not leaving it only to the NGOs to do, or not only leaving it to the civil society organizations to do, but to have a collective effort where when the government is lagging somewhere, the NGOs come in, the civil society come in, such that we are able to all answer the call of having to see people that are able to enjoy a good mental well-being. Because the moment your mental well-being is not okay, trust me, it is very difficult to be productive. You won't be able to you won't be able to yield the results that you need to yield. It could be in a place of work, it could be your performance here at school, it could be even just the basic interactions that you might have in your home. So it is important that collaborative efforts are put in so that we address the issues of mental well-being. Thank you.
Very, very insightful. Thank you so much. Remember that even as we are going towards the end of the show, you are still free to also comment and suggest what you think, social institutions, CSOs, and governments can do to ensure that there's an enabling environment for mental health awareness. And we are actually looking forward to reading your comments before we close the show. Now, Stanley, do you have a comment on this particular question?
I think Mrs. Changara has said pretty much summed it up, but I'll just add a bit on top. I think that what CSOs can do is, I think they should bring in problem solving, uh, bring in aspects of solving things that lead to mental health. So they should bring in
Mhm.
awareness against alcohol abuse, drug abuse, mm, stress from families. We should They should create safe spaces for people to enjoy the freedom of just having a conversation with someone. Also, bring in a lot of other aspects, such as spaces where people can interact on levels of helping them with other problems that they may have in their personal lives. It might be financial, it might be mental, it might be the stress at work and other aspects. I think with government, I think that it is mostly legislative. We have seen government do things that are legislative, but I would
Mhm.
want to see a government that is action based. So what I mean is, we might have the laws, yes, but then how are
Mhm.
they being put into practice? So they should put into they should put places for people to develop themselves, develop their skills. They should train people on being counselors. People, we should see more of community leaders who are open their arms to people, come and interact with them. We want to see a government contribute. We want to see a place where a government openly puts in the national budget that, oh, this amount of money is going towards um, raising awareness for mental health. We want to see
Mhm.
them collaborate with NGOs, um, to bring in people that raise awareness in schools, in clinics, markets, and also interact with people on the streets, because they are the people that are actually experiencing these problems. So they would put these aspects into play through the laws that they have enacted, but now they are putting in the action. And another thing that I would put into perspective is society itself. I think that we as society should start accepting people for who they are and what they bring to the table. We should start accepting people, if whether they have mental illness, whether they have any shortfalls, but we should embrace them so that they understand that all these problems are solvable. You know, we should make people understand that they should be okay. You know, it is okay for them to go through a rough patch, but we should accept them. We should have open spaces. We should have spaces where men interact. We should have spaces where women interact on a level of just wishing that the other should be well. And my words and the last thing I would say is just be there for someone. You never know what they're going through.
Right. Thank you so much to both Mr. Mrs. Changala and Stanley for your time. And maybe before we conclude, let me just look at this particular comment. This one says, this is a very important topic, but what are you doing as organizations, health practitioners and advocates to bring down the rate of mental health cases? Because there is a rise in mental health cases. Where is the gap? All right. Thank you so much, Pro Henceforth, for that particular comment. I think starting from mental, organizations, health practitioners, I think we are trying our best, basically, as an organization or as civil society. Number one, an example we can cite is we are having this particular conversation here. And not only that, even in our interventions, we always ensure that every now and then mental health is incorporated to most of the things that we face in society. And I think even the guests that we have today, just to help in answering the question on their behalf, because we've run out of time, even the guests that we have today have demonstrated, if you were watching from the start of the show, they demonstrated how they personally involve themselves in raising awareness on mental health. I must also make mention that Pro Henceforth, as Stanley mentioned earlier, I think mental health awareness is a topic that should not only be seen as, oh no, civil societies should do it, government should do it. It should trickle down to a personal level. You yourself, how's your attitude towards other people? And are you equipping yourself to be ready enough such that when somebody close to you has an issue, you would be able to be in a position where you help them, or your attitude towards them shows some sort of help and, helps them stabilize. So all in all, what I would say is we need more collaborative efforts. We need to put our hands together much more, and raising a community that is mentally woke is very, very possible if we work together. So thank you so much for watching us. Thank you for all of the comments that have come in today. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Mrs. Changala, for your time. This has been The Real Talk Show. My name is Iga Kapambwe, your host for today's episode. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.